I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome everybody to the Laverne Planning Commission July 30th, 2019 meeting at 6 p.m. We do have a quorum. First item of business is approved meeting minutes from the June 25th, 2019 regular meeting. Entertain a motion.
Chair, make a motion to accept as submitted.
Motion to accept. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes passed. First item under old business, final plat Randall Malone subdivision requested by Russell White and Associates. Property located at Jefferson Pike and Ridgemont Drive, tax map 18J, Group A, Parcel 6, R2 Medium Density Residential Zoning District. Property owned by Emma Jean Johnson and Mr. Randall Malone. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. This request is for final plat approval for a lot located at the corner of Jefferson Pike and Ridgemont Drive. And it is zoned R2, which is medium density residential. And you can see on the map here that there's quite a bit of R2. That's the dark red. It's like a brick color. This particular lot was larger than several in the area, so they have enough acreage to divide the lot. So this is a minor plat. It would be a minor or final plat that would create one new building lot. Before subdivision, they have 30,927 square feet. It's about 31,000, and after that, each lot would be the new lot is just over 10,000 square feet. And I think there were no technical items last couple weeks ago. No technical items, so that completes the report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions or comments from the board?
Chairman, all the items have been addressed. I'll make a motion to accept as submitted.
We have a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We will be moving on to item number 4 under old business. Amendment to the zoning ordinance, amend 4.070 standards for signs restricting portable signs on all city property, presented by Mayor Cole and Mr. Logan. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. Mr. Ames has been working on this, and I think he's had some discussions with Mayor Cole, so I'll turn that over to him.
Sir?
Yeah, this is something the mayor requested, obviously, and something that I've been spending some time looking at, trying to get it in order. It looks like it's a lot more than it is, and that's because a lot of these amendments are me just putting a number in front of a lot of these things for easier reference in other sections. That way you could say, except as permitted under 4.07 G1 or, whatever it is. So a lot of this is just me adding numbers for ease of access and ease of reading in other sections. The substantial changes are in under section 1, B definitions, number 9, letter I, civic signs. There's a new sentence there. Then under the exemptions section, which is section 2 of this amendment, under the exempt signs, number 15 has an amendment, and under section 3, that section there has an amendment, which you can see is crossed out there in the in what's provided to you.
Very good. Should we review this before voting on it, sir? In your opinion?
I would imagine it'd be a good idea to do so.
Well, we'll take your advice on that one. This is a little lengthy, and we haven't really had a chance to look at it. So I'll entertain a motion. I'd like to send this back to workshop so we can discuss it a little further.
So moved.
And we'll be moving this on to workshop. Do we need to vote on that, Mr. Richardson?
Need a second to vote since you took a
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We'll be sending this back to workshop and discussing it a little further.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next item is item number 7 under new business. Site plan, Mason Road Industrial Building, requested by SEC. Property located on Mason Road, tax map 29, parcel 5.01, I-2 Heavy Industrial Zoning District, property owned by Beacon Transport Properties, LLC. Mr. Logan?
Thank you. This request is for site plan approval. This is located at 451 Mason Road, and this site is approximately 10 acres, and it is zoned I-2 and has been zoned I-2 for several years. And that's the heavy industrial zoning district. And this is located on the east side of Mason Road. And in the image, I-24 is here. So this is just north. Here's Mason Road and Industrial at the intersection of Mason Road and Industrial. And so just north of there, and you can see the rear portion that's farthest from Mason has been developed for a while. And that's this parking lot and asphalt back here. So the portion we're looking at tonight would be this vacant part in the front. And they are proposing a new building, and the total square footage is just over 164,000 square feet. And it is a one-story building, and property is owned by Beacon Transport, and so this property is slated to be warehouse and distribution, and which is like many of its neighbors. And there were very few outstanding comments, and those were all addressed in the last 2 weeks since the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Leach, so the 3 items we had have all been addressed, sir?
That is correct, Mr. Graham. All the, Mr. Coates, all items have been addressed by the engineer.
Very good. Thank you,
So,
sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept as submitted.
We have a motion to accept as submitted. Do we have a second?
A second for discussion.
Second with discussion.
So will we be using the in lieu of for the sidewalks or anything?
They're building sidewalks. It's shown on the plan.
Okay,
All the discussion, Mr. Church?
that's it.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item number 8. Item number 8. Horizontal property regime, final plat, lot 118, Minerva Village, requested by Womble and Associates. Property located on Minerva Drive, tax map 14, parcel 45, R3 high density residential zoning district. Property owned by Abnon Shreedman. Mr. Logan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This request, you remember probably from the workshop. So this is a horizontal property regime and final plat request for approval at lot 118 Minerva Village. And you can see here on the image. So this project was approved at Planning Commission approximately 18 months ago. And this is the phase that would be further to the west. And here on the east side is the next phase. And so taken together, the development has R3 zoning, and then this side would be the extension of Minerva Drive. So I've got some photos. So this is the end of Minerva as it looks today, and Minerva will be extended. And then some of you remember there's a new roundabout that would be built, and there's some traffic calming measures that were incorporated into the design of that road, keep cut through traffic down, and that was part of the thinking on the roundabout. And then as it go around the roundabout and go to the north, that street will line up here with forgotten the name of this road.
That should be Tom Haley.
Okay. So then those will line up, and there'll be an intersection there. So there are single-family lots down this side. But tonight is just this phase, which is lot 118, and that's what the HPR is for. And there are 97 units associated with this phase, and 97 townhome units, and some common area. And there are 5-foot sidewalks that were shown back at the original submittal about 18 months ago, and so they are installing sidewalks on both sides of the streets. And there was only one comment, I think, that came from Mr. Leach, so I'll let him address that. Thank you.
Mr. Leach?
The approval for the public ways was removed, and I just forgot to strike that one. So,
Very good. So all technical items are taken care of?
yes, sir.
Very good. Questions or comments from the board?
I have a question. On the information I requested from the workshop, I have yet to receive on the public hearing and everything. Were you able to find that, Mr. Leach?
Oh, my apologies. I forgot to get that to you, but I can have it sent to you. That is my mistake. Got lost in the notes here.
So I make a motion that this item gets deferred so I can review my request from the workshop.
We have a motion to defer. Do we have a second? With no second, we will entertain another motion.
Make a motion to accept as submitted.
We have a motion to accept as submitted. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
No.
Aye.
Roll call, please. Mr. Holliday?
I understand. I'm going to abstain.
Aye.
Aye.
No, and the reason I'm saying no at this time is due to the fact of lack of information that was requested from the city engineer, from me to the city engineer, and I have not yet received it. Thank you.
No. And Mr. Lee?
Yes, and I'd also like to make a comment.
Please, sir.
Obviously, this is a HPR, and based on our authority of where this is at the stage at, this is already approved by the Planning Commission 8 years ago. That's why I'm voting aye.
Thank you, sir. Motion passes. 4 ayes, or 3 ayes and 1 no. So motion passes. On to the next item. Item number 9, discussion amendment to the zoning ordinance, amend Article 5 to create a new zoning district for office buildings, presented by Mr. Mayor Cole. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. So 2 weeks ago, we discussed this and kind of introduced the topic of creating a new district in Laverne. This would be a new commercial district, and it would follow the sequence of numbering. So we have C1 through C4, and so that's how it's named C5. So this would be an office and professional service district, and in researching communities around the mid-state, they're more commonly, instead of just an office district, it'll be called office and something. And so there are some communities that call it office and professional services. So the draft covers, or the draft ordinance rather, it covers all of the fine details, which has to do with the size, bulk, use, and then height and setbacks. But really, I think those items are kind of secondary to what uses would be allowed in the district. And I haven't heard I haven't had any input or received any input from, I don't think, anybody as to what you think might be a good idea to go in that district. So it's a draft ordinance, and so it's ready for input. And I think it could go either way. It's a little difficult to get through it all because I know the mayor has ideas, and so with him not here, I feel like we're kind of missing a piece of the pie that's important. But we are in the middle of a zoning overhaul, complete overhaul. So with the zoning ordinance, so I sent the email out today, and some of you all may have not been able to see it, but one idea would be to put this together and dovetail it with the greater overhaul of the zoning ordinance instead of piecemeal trying to go in and change it when we're going to go through the same. We adopt a new zoning ordinance, we're going to go through all these steps, and it's going to come before you all, and then public meetings, and then it'll go to BOMA. So, I mean, it can be done. It's just, in some ways, it could be double the time and work for everybody involved if we just, might be easier and more efficient to do it at one time. But that's just a thought. It doesn't mean that's just kind of staff's input for that. But I did want to go over, when you look at this and what other cities have done with office space and some kind of office district, you can tell that there's been a lot of thought given to if that happens and it's established, what do the people who are employed at these, it's you have to design the ordinance for a small office all the way up to a large office building. So what kind of services do they want, and what would need to be located close to an office type environment? And so obviously you get into restaurants and other uses of that type. So that's why you'll see in the draft ordinance, restaurants are included. And then if you kind of look around at some of these other cities, some type of healthcare facility would be allowed on appeal or special exception through their board of zoning appeals, and also educational facilities. So that's included in your. Those are hypotheticals for allowing special exceptions. And then also listed in there is professional services. So I put this together so you all, because I thought I might get the question of, well, what is professional services versus professional service non-medical? So I'll just read these out. Accountants and bookkeepers, attorneys, artists, consulting scientists, scientific research, engineers and architectural offices, songwriters, composers, music arrangers, writers, and lecturers. So those are just a sampling of the non-medical types of offices that would be allowed in this district. And then, of course, when you get to the professional service medical, you have chiropractors, dentists, eye doctors, medical labs, offices for psychologists, office for psychiatrists, walk-in clinics, urgent care, all those types. So that would be considered professional services also with the medical side. So I just thought if you all want me to, I can email these to you. And then I'm kind of jumping ahead, but this is going to come up. You're going to see this in the upcoming months as we get this new zoning ordinance kind of at least get a skeleton and get it sent out to you all. And so most modern zoning ordinances make a distinction in restaurants instead of just calling anything that serves food a restaurant. So there comes then the definition of a full-service restaurant. So that would be a sit-down restaurant where customers who are normally provided with an individual menu are generally served food and beverages in non-disposable containers by a restaurant employee at the same table or counter at which said items are consumed. So really, some of my past employers, we kind of draw the distinction of, does it have a drive-through or not? That's sort of a safe. If it has a drive-through, it's considered a takeout restaurant, and I'm not going to get in that tonight, but that would be a restaurant that's not full service. So some people say fast food, but in the zoning world, they call it a takeout restaurant. So that would be the opposite. So I'm just kind of getting into that because this is what needs to be gone through, and I'm also kind of giving a peek to, it's hard to just go in and establish a C5 if you don't start looking at these other details, because you have office workers and they have things that they want to eat lunch, they want to have amenities, so you got to kind of plan for that. But that's my 4-minute spiel.
Thank you, sir.
So I'll be glad to get feedback from you all.
Thank you, sir. I did read the email, and I hope everybody else had a chance to as well, and did get to look over the ordinance. It looks fairly thorough and complete. I'm sure there's some items that we all want to discuss in regards to.
But I think it's a very big step to issue another one. Obviously, we want to do it right. I mean, and I did get the email. I just like a couple of comments on the verbiage. You know, when we're referring to landscape requirements referenced in section 310C, that really doesn't fit. It wasn't even mentioned D because we have transition areas too. We've got to look at this. I mean, it's. I know everyone's pushed forward with it, but I think we all need more time to review it and get it right, and then move forward rather than get it wrong and then
Have to do it again.
Hey, my question is, so if we create it's an R5 is what we're,
C5.
C5.
Yes, sir.
So how do we create something and we don't know on the zoning map where it's going to go?
Well, I mentioned the email today. By establishing a district, it doesn't mean that any particular piece of land is zoned that. So,
Is it kind of, to me, the drums are beaten in different areas of the community, and some of these are needed for, as you follow the economic development and other things. I just don't want to get into an arena where we're spot zoning, and this is, to me, really close how we're doing it. I agree with what you were saying. We should consolidate it all and put it down, because we've pieced it the way we were piecing it together, and this is just my opinion, and I'm new, I may be wrong. Without setting the boundaries, we're kind of prepping for customizing zoning, and if legal would like to weigh in on that.
If you don't mind, if I may address this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe our transportation plan and community plan we just passed kind of addresses all of the adding new zonings and zonings. Is that correct, Mr. Logan?
so the land use plan is a guide. Right. So if you look through there, certain, especially on the land use map, certain colors represent certain uses. So, single family is usually a light yellow, for example, and then as you get into higher density areas that allow townhomes or apartments, those get darker, some shade of orange or dark red or something. So but it's more like it's used as a guide. It doesn't mean
It doesn't allow us to just put a different zoning in a different zoning unless it's a necessity.
Yeah, and so I guess more specifically to the spot zoning question, in Tennessee, there's no requirement that a city have X number of zones, be they commercial or residential or industrial. I think what has been shown, and I've run into in the last 15 years in case law, is although there's no mandate or no requirement that a city has a certain amount of zones, there is a mandate that every kind of use be allowed to go somewhere. So you can't have exclusionary zoning is what it's called, I think, in the legal term. You can't exclude out uses. So in this case, we allow office uses in C2, and I think what we're doing as a city is exploring, do we need more districts? And, we're going to be working with the consulting firm on that. And I think just because of the age of the ordinance, I think there will be a need for more districts. So,
yeah, I agree with what you're saying. The facts are this isn't exploring. This is adding. So we're not exploring when we start voting on this. We're creating it, and that's where I have
It's definitely.
I think we need a little more. We got the email today at 12:19, and this is definitely something I'm sure the mayor would want to weigh in on it. It was coming down the chute. So if it's possible, I would like to just have more conversation. And the land districts are unique. We have about 4 areas of Laverne you can still build in. So if the majority of the development is going into one area, it puts us. I think we're walking a real fine line.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to defer.
I agree. I'll
second.
accept that motion to defer. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I look very forward to discussing this in workshop, so everybody put some thought into it. And we will be moving on to the next item. And our final item, item number 10, bonds and letters of credit. Mr. Leach.
Mr. Chairman, Board, in the back of your packet is a list of our existing bonds. There have been some maintenance bonds that fell off if they've just aged out. Have added 2 new ones. 2 cashier's checks were given by Mr. Amnon Shreebman for Lieutenant Frank Walkup Phase 2 and Lakewood's Phase 10. One was $70,000 some odd dollars, and the other was $25,800 as per the board's bond setting. So there's your update.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the board? I'd like to thank everyone. Meeting adjourned.